Hi, I'm Phil. I'm one of the team leaders here at Halfords Mobile Experts in Basingstoke. I'm going to talk to you today about some tips and tricks on how to keep your car maintenance low by doing a few things yourself. I'm going to show you today how to change a tyre if you get stuck at the side of the road. I'm just going to explain first of all, in this vehicle we have what we call a space saver tyre. Now it is a lot skinnier than any of the others, so you just need to remember that you have to stick to below 50 miles an hour with the car once you've fitted this tyre, and also that your braking and your steering may be less effective. But just drive sensibly with it on there, under 50 miles an hour, and you'll be absolutely fine. So what we're going to do, we've got our space saver tyre out, we have our toolkit, and what we're going to do is we're going to jack the vehicle up and change the tyre over for you. What we'll do first of all, we're going to bring everything round to the side. So in the kit we have our locking wheel nut key, which is inside the bag. So we'll pop that to one side so it doesn't get lost, and the key which will pop on the locking wheel nut, which is this one here, and that's locked in, safe and secure. We now have our little socket bar, which is what we use as what's in your toolkit. We also have our scissor jack. Now just need to make sure with these scissor jacks that the car is on a secure ground without anything soft underneath it. The car is as level as possible, and you ensure that there's nothing underneath this surface on the floor, and that you get this section here nice and smoothly on the jacking point of the vehicle. So what we're going to do first of all, we can see we're a little bit too tall, so we just need to wind the jack down so that it will fit underneath the vehicle. So obviously we turn it to the anti-clockwise for lowering and clockwise to raise. Once we've got it low enough, we pop it underneath the vehicle, and what we'll do is we'll get down low enough to see where the jacking point of the vehicle is. Once we're on the jacking point, we start to wind it back up again, ensuring that the jacking point is inside the correct section of the jack. You then wind your vehicle up. Unfortunately, this does take a bit of time, but what you want to do before you go too high, once you've got it underneath to make sure that it's on there, we just want to crack the wheel nuts off whilst the tyre is still on the floor. So what we're going to do, we're going to get our tyre iron, we're going to pop it on the wheel nut, making sure that it's on there nice and secure. All you do, you then get your foot on there and you push it down, and you see as that spins off, that loosens off that one. With the locking wheel nut, you just need to ensure that you are all the way on there. You make sure you keep it square and you give it a little push. Once that's a little bit cracked off, what we can do is we can then wind it back up and do it by hand. So you need to make sure your locking wheel nut key, you are square on there, because you don't want to cause any damage to it. So just going to finish cracking off the rest of the wheel nuts quickly. That last one will always be a little bit tougher. So now that they're all cracked off, we're going to finish raising the vehicle up. Now you may hear a few little noises like that as you start to get up to the top. All that is the wheel just moving ever so slightly, and your brake pads just making a little bit of noise as the tyre moves. As long as it doesn't move too far, that's absolutely fine. There's no issue with that. Now as you can see, we are off the floor, which means that we can take out all of our wheel nuts. So the locking wheel nut is the easiest one to do, seeing as it has the extra bit on the outside. And then all we want to do is, once we've taken them off, we want to make sure we put them safe so that we don't lose them at the side of the road. So we're just going to wind them all out. Obviously you can use your socket bar like this to wind them out, make it a little bit easier. And we're just going to wind all five off, and then that way we're ready to switch over the wheels once we've done that. So last one. So now all of the wheel nuts are removed, what we can do is we can pull our wheel off. Now sometimes you will find that they have corroded to the wheel hub and you may have to give it a little bit of a knock. If it doesn't come off with more than that, then I would recommend calling a breakdown service, because you don't want to be putting too much sideways movement into the scissor jacks. So as we've got the tyre off now, we'll wheel it back and out the way. And what we'll do is we'll grab our space saver wheel and we'll line it up. Now with this vehicle, it has got wheel studs, which means that it's a bit easier to line up. So what we'll do, we'll just line it up and it slides nicely onto the hub there. Now what we'll do, we'll just wind our wheel nuts back on. Again, if you want to, you can use the bar that you get with the car to be able to wind them on. But with this one, as I can get my hand all the way around, I prefer to wind it in by hand. Again, lock and wheel nut key back on there and we wind it all the way back on again. Now what you can do, you can get your bar on at this point and just pull it round. Give it a couple of them tightened. Just make sure when you do that you tighten in a crisscross pattern. So if you were to draw a line between all of the wheel bolts you're doing, you're making a star. If you've only got 4 bolts, do one, then the one opposite it, go to the next one and then opposite again. So you see we've got it a little bit tighter there. So what we're going to do, we're now going to drop the car back down so the wheel is touching the floor, and then at that point we can do the final little bit of tightening. Always helps to go down. So now that we're down and touching the floor, what we can do is we can just ensure that all of our wheel bolts are tight. Now as this is a temporary wheel, all we're going to do is pop the bar back on and we're just going to put a bit of pressure down to ensure that it's not going to come loose. Again, if you do it in the crisscross star pattern, that way you know it's going to be on there tight and in line. Again though, just make sure with the lock and wheel nut that you are square and it's not going to move from side to side. So now that's on there, should be nice and tight. What you can do, you can lower the car the rest of the way and continue with your journey. Thank you very much. My name is Phil from Halfords Mobile in Basingstoke, and that is how to put your spare wheel onto your car.